Good morning and welcome to More Tea Minister. My name is Ian. Today we are looking at a very unusual example of tea. This came as a sample that was free, but it came with a purchase, so it's not a blandishment or anything like that. This is from One River Tea and it's called Yellow Kukicha. Now that takes us into two, if not three, different areas of tea processing and different categories. The yellow refers to the fact that the material for this tea comes from yellow tea, and yellow tea is shaded tea. It's a style of tea hailing from China, where the tea plants are literally shaded for some time, which yellows them, and it softens what would be the eventual green taste flavor. On top of that, yellow tea is often sometimes roasted, sometimes very heavily, so it's associated with a kind of roasted nutty flavor. If indeed beyond processing is yellow tea, there's that element of roasting. Now in this case, this is roasted yellow tea, but it's called kukicha. Now kukicha is a Japanese term and it means twig tea. It's another example of how tea manufacturing in Japan is naturally enough concerned with avoiding waste and maximizing the utility of the product. And in this case, kukicha means that stem material and material from within the leaves can be, let's say the stem material can definitely be harvested and then dried out and served as another kind of green tea. Now, I've had kukicha, and because it's milder and it's sweeter and it has much less astringency, if any, and much less caffeine, I find it quite a palatable form of green tea. However, it's possible to get kukicha in a slightly different form because it can be roasted. And at that point, technically what you have is hoji-kukicha, hoji being roasted and kukicha being twig tea. It's why you also have something called hoji-cha, which we're going to be looking at very soon. So what we have here is the harvested twiggy material from a yellow tea manufacturing in China, but then beyond its processing as yellow tea, the stem material is then taken to a roaster who finishes the product as hoji-kukicha, but in this case called Yellow Kukicha. Now, if you go to One River Tea's website, and I'll link the description for this specific product, there's actually a short video pointing to the manufacturing process of this tea, pointing out that if we call the people who produce Yellow Kukicha the manufacturers, they're provided with the stemmy material from the yellow tea production. So it's almost like different manufacturing processes all rolled into one, or all necessary for the final product. So there we have it. We have a Japanese style tea in the form of a kukicha, technically a hoji-kukicha, a roasted twig tea, but this time it's from China and it's very unusually using yellow tea base material. So on to part two, where we take a closer look at the product. Hello again. Welcome to part two of our video. We're taking a close-up look at the literally bits and pieces that make up the yellow kukicha. You can see it's almost exclusively stem material, which is of course the whole point, as the leaf material, apart from this more obvious piece here, the whole point is to find a way to be as economical as possible and to utilize this stem material. It's a fairly uniform color, very, very dark yellow bordering into brown. I think it's fair to say that the pieces are fairly uniform in size as well. And I think the color is a combination of the yellow tea processing aspect, plus of course the tea has been roasted as well. A reminder that in the video in question, the tea is brought to the final processor already cut up like this, so it's their job to roast it expertly. So, looking forward to part three. Hello and welcome back to part 3 of our video where we are reviewing Yellow Kukicha. Now, as always with teas like this, I have prepared it in advance, and the pre-steeped and pre-strained tea is in this teapot here. So I have followed guidance from, say, hoji-kukicha in particular, or hoji-kukicha to be precise. So I've used 1 gram of tea per every 200 mils of water, and I've steeped it for about a minute, and I've had the water at boiling. So let's see what we've come up with. As you can see, that's pretty dark. It's almost perfect. In fact, yeah, I was going to say it's almost perfumey. That's really very nice. Let that cool a little. The colour is a really dark reddish bronze, as you can see there. The roastedness and the nuttiness is there, but it's that perfumey, almost fruity sweetness. That's what's really coming through from the jug. From the cup, it's all of them together. The roastiness is coming through more strongly. That's really good. A good intense flavour. Very easy to take. Flavour isn't dropping off. There's no bitterness to it. But I'm not surprised in between the yellow tea processing and it being kukicha in the first place. Roasted, sweet, nutty. 'Tis rich. I would say that. I could see it being very, very drinkable, but it's rich and it's very, very satisfying. I think I just made an error. I think I said this was 1 gram to every 200. I've done this as 1 gram per 100. I'll make sure I put that in the description box. And I think that's about right. It's absolutely delightful. So from that point of view, it's a tick. The taste is absolutely fantastic. Is it readily available? I'm not sure that's a fair question. It can, of course, be obtained from One River Tea's website, and perhaps if you look for yellow tea processed twig tea, roasted, as a Google search or on any other search engine, you might come across it in some other way. But it's, I think it's fair to say, it's a niche of one genre of tea, and yellow tea isn't necessarily the one that most people seek out in the first place. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. So I'm not sure it's fair to talk in terms of availability for this, but I would make the effort to chase it down because it really is delightful. Is it easy to brew? Well, you could probably get away with using slightly less tea per amount of water, maybe bring it down to 1 gram to 150 mils of water. But there's nothing at all wrong with this being 1 gram to 100 mils. The taste is definitely on the palate still. So let's leave availability to one side. It's 2 out of 2. A hearty recommendation. So all that remains for me to do is to drink the rest of this tea for one thing, and to say happy steeping and God bless.